The sun was dipping low behind the hills, painting the sky in gold and fire. Engines rumbled softly as a group of bikers pulled into a quiet gas station off Route 47. Dust swirled around their boots as they parked their Harleys in a line, metal gleaming under the fading light. John Hawk Miller, the leader, took off his helmet. His gray eyes scanned the horizon, calm, watchful. He'd seen enough of the world to know peace never lasted long. "All right, boys," he said, wiping his face with a rag. "Refuel, grab a drink, then we roll." Laughter echoed as the men chatted. A radio played faintly from the station's old speaker, an old country tune that made the place feel frozen in time. And then, a sound. Footsteps. Small, rapid, desperate. Everyone turned. From the dusty road ahead, a little girl came running, barefoot, her pink dress torn at the shoulder. Her hair clung to her face, her breathing sharp and broken. She couldn't have been more than 8. "Please!" she screamed, her voice trembling. "Please, someone help me." The laughter died instantly. John stepped forward, his brows furrowed. "Whoa, slow down, sweetheart. What's wrong?" She tried to speak, but her lips quivered too hard. Tears streaked down her cheeks as she pointed behind her, toward the distant woods. They hurt my mama," she gasped. "Please save her. They're gonna kill her." A thick silence fell over the station. Michael, the youngest biker with tattoos up his arms, dropped his drink can. "Did she just say?" John raised his hand. "Quiet." He knelt beside the girl, his leather jacket creaking. Hey, look at me," he said softly. "What's your name?" Sophia," she whispered. "Okay, Sophia, I'm John. We're not gonna let anything happen to your mama. But I need you to tell me, who's hurting her?" Sophia's lips trembled. "2 men. They came to our house. Mama told me to run. She's still there." Her small fingers clutched John's jacket. He felt her hands shaking like a leaf in the wind. Robert, the quiet giant of the group, stepped closer. "Boss, we can call the cops." John looked at him, eyes cold, steady. "And wait 30 minutes while her mom bleeds out? No chance." He turned back to Sophia. "Can you show us where?" She nodded quickly. A long pause. Engines idled softly behind them. The wind whispered across the highway, carrying the faint smell of gasoline and fear. John stood up, his voice low but sharp. "Mount up." Michael blinked. "You serious, boss?" John slid on his helmet. "You hear that, kid? We don't leave people behind." Robert smirked faintly. "Guess we're riding into hell again." "Wouldn't be the first time," John muttered, starting his bike. The engines roared to life, loud enough to make the ground tremble. Sophia covered her ears, but John leaned down and said through the helmet visor, "It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now. Just hold tight." He lifted her onto his bike, wrapping his leather jacket around her shoulders. And as the pack of bikers thundered down the road into the darkening woods, their headlights slicing through the dusk, a single thought echoed in everyone's mind. Who could hurt a child's mother like that? The sound of engines faded into the distance, replaced by the haunting silence of the empty highway. The ride to darkness. The bikers follow Sophia into the woods, but what they find waiting in that house will chill them to the bone. Engines thundered across the highway like rolling storms. The night had fallen fast, black clouds swallowing the last traces of sunset. The wind whipped against their faces as the pack of bikers followed the little girl's trembling directions. Sophia clung tightly to John's back, her tiny fingers gripping his leather jacket, her face buried into it, trying to hide from the rushing air and the dark woods flashing past. John's eyes stayed fixed on the road. Every instinct in his body screamed that something wasn't right. Behind him, the headlights of 7 motorcycles cut through the gloom like fiery spears. The sound of them together was a promise, loud, fierce, unstoppable. "Boss," Robert's voice came through the headset. "You sure we're doing the right thing? We don't know what's out here." John's reply was steady. "Doesn't matter. That kid's got fear in her eyes, real fear. I've seen it before." Michael's voice broke in next. "Yeah, but what if it's a setup? What if we're being led into something? John looked at the girl for a moment, her small body trembling from cold and shock. Then we deal with it. Either way, someone's in trouble tonight. The forest road narrowed. Trees thickened on both sides, their shadows reaching like claws across the cracked asphalt. The faint smell of pine mixed with the distant scent of smoke. And then, Sophia pointed ahead. There, she cried. That's our house. They slowed down, engines growling low. Through the trees, a small wooden cabin came into view. Dark, isolated, and silent. A faint light flickered inside. One window shattered. The front door hung open. John parked first, signaling the others to cut their engines. The sudden silence was deafening. Only the faint rustle of leaves and the sound of Sophia's uneven breathing filled the air. Robert crouched near a bush. No cars, no movement, but someone was here. John nodded. Stay alert. He turned to Sophia, voice softer now. You stay here with Michael, okay? We're gonna check inside. Sophia shook her head violently. No, don't leave me. They'll come back. John knelt down, looking into her tearful eyes. I promise, no one's gonna touch you. Not while we're here. He handed her his bandana, the one marked with the symbol of their club, Iron Hearts. Keep this. It means you're one of us now. Sophia clutched it tight, nodding through tears. Then silence again. Just the sound of boots crunching on gravel as the bikers spread out toward the house. John's flashlight beam cut across the porch. Blood, faint, smeared on the steps. A broken vase. A woman's shoe lying in the dirt. His stomach tightened. Inside, the air was heavy with fear. Chairs overturned. A lamp flickered in the corner. And on the wall, 2 sets of muddy footprints. Robert whispered, They dragged someone out. John's jaw clenched. Sophia's mom. He scanned the floor. A trail of drops led out the back door into the woods. Suddenly, a creak. John froze. Then a voice. Soft. Strained. Help, please. Came from the corner of the room. He swung the light and saw her. A woman tied to a chair, her face bruised, her wrists raw from rope. Jesus! John muttered, rushing forward. Ma'am, you're safe now. We've got you. Her eyes fluttered open. Sophia? Where's Sophia? She's okay, John said, cutting the ropes. She came to find us. Tears streamed down the woman's face. Thank God. They were looking for me. They said they'd come back. A noise outside. Engines. Not theirs. The bikers froze. Michael's voice crackled through the radio. Boss! 2 trucks just pulled up. Tinted windows. They've got guns. John looked out the window, headlights blinding through the trees. He turned back to the woman. Can you walk? She nodded weakly. Then let's move. He grabbed her arm gently and whispered into his mic. Everyone out. Formation 3. Protect the kid. Outside, the sound of car doors slamming echoed through the woods. Voices. Male. Harsh. Spread out. They can't be far. John's heart pounded. His hand went to the knife on his belt. The night had turned deadly. The house in the woods. The bikers face off with the men who hurt Sophia's mother. But when the truth about those men comes out, nothing will ever be the same. The forest had gone silent, the kind of silence that makes your heartbeat sound too loud. Even the crickets had stopped. John crouched by the window, eyes narrowing as beams of headlights cut through the mist. 2 black trucks, doors wide open, men stepping out, heavy boots, flashlights, rifles slung across their backs. Robert whispered, 5. Maybe 6 of them. John's jaw tightened. Armed. Yeah, military style. A shiver ran through the air. Not from the cold, but from something darker. Inside the cabin, Sophia's mother, Evelyn, tried to steady her breathing. Her face was pale, but her eyes, full of fear, darted toward the door. They said they'd finish it tonight, she whispered. John turned. Who are they? Evelyn swallowed hard. They're not just thieves. My husband, he used to work for them. Some kind of illegal arms deal. He wanted out. They didn't like that. Robert cursed under his breath. So now they're tying up loose ends. Exactly, Evelyn said. They came for me, and when Sophia screamed, I told her to run. John looked at her, then out the window again. The men were spreading out now, flashlights cutting through the trees. One of them shouted, "Find the woman! She can't be far." John's fingers tapped the handle of his knife. He whispered into his radio, "Michael, status?" "Kids safe behind the bikes," came the reply. "We're ready." John nodded. "Copy that. Hold your line." He turned back to Evelyn. "You can walk." "Yes," she breathed. "Then when I say go, you run to the bikes. Don't stop. You'll see lights. Follow them." She nodded, trembling. Robert grinned faintly. "Guess we're dancing tonight, boss." John smirked. "Let's make it loud." Outside, a man stepped closer to the porch, flashlight beams slicing across the wooden steps. He barely had time to register the movement. The door swung open, and John's boot caught him square in the chest. Thud! The man flew backward, crashing into the dirt. "Get M!" someone yelled. Gunfire ripped through the night. Bullets tore through wood, shattering glass. Evelyn screamed, ducking behind the table. The bikers returned fire, not with bullets, but with fury. Robert stormed out, swinging a steel pipe like thunder, slamming it into one of the attackers' arms. Michael revved his bike, headlights blinding another man before flooring the throttle and knocking him off his feet. The air filled with chaos, the roar of engines, the shouts of men, the crack of gunfire. John tackled another assailant to the ground, fists flying. The man's mask slipped, revealing a scarred face and eyes cold as stone. "Where's your boss?" John growled. The man spat blood. "He's coming." Then, from the darkness, a deep voice echoed. Well, look what we got here." A tall man stepped into the clearing, leather gloves, black jacket, calm as death itself. He carried no weapon, just a cruel smile. "John Miller," he said slowly. "Didn't think I'd see you again." John froze. That voice, that name, it hit him like a hammer. Jackson Reed. Robert's eyes widened. "Wait, that Jackson? The one who—" "Yeah." John cut him off. "The one who left my brother bleeding on the highway." Jackson smirked. "Your brother got what he deserved. You should have stayed out of my business, Hawk." The name Hawk, John's old biker call sign, hung in the air like poison. Sophia's small voice broke the tension. She'd slipped out of hiding, eyes wide, clutching John's bandana. "Please, don't hurt my mama," she cried. Jackson looked down at her, then at Evelyn, and smiled coldly. "Sweet kid. Shame her mom picked the wrong side." John stepped between them, voice low and steady. "Touch her, and I swear." Jackson laughed. "Still the hero, huh? You can't save everyone, Hawk." A flash of lightning tore through the clouds, thunder rolling in behind it. The wind picked up. The storm was coming. John raised his voice. "You're right, but tonight, I'll save enough." And with that, he charged. Metal clashed. Fists met flesh. The storm broke open above them, rain pouring down, washing the blood from the dirt. Sophia screamed as lightning illuminated the fight. A blur of fury, courage, and desperation. John's blade caught Jackson's arm. Jackson stumbled back, clutching the wound. "Not bad," he hissed. "But this isn't over." He whistled sharply, and the remaining men retreated to the trucks, engines roaring as they sped off into the rain. The clearing fell silent again, except for the rain hitting the trees. Evelyn ran to Sophia, pulling her into her arms. Both sobbed, relief and fear colliding. John stood there, drenched, watching the tail lights vanish into the storm. He knew this wasn't the end. Not even close. The night of the engines. The bikers regroup, but Jackson's revenge comes fast. As the rain falls, a new oath is made, and one of them might not live to see morning. Rain came down like needles, slicing through the cold air. The forest shimmered under flashes of lightning, and the smell of wet earth and gasoline hung heavy. John stood motionless for a moment, water dripping from his hair. The others gathered around, soaked, bruised, and silent. Sophia and Evelyn huddled near the bikes under Robert's jacket, the engines still idling like growling beasts ready to move again. Michael kicked at the mud. "Boss, we can't stay here. Those guys'll be back with more." "I know," John muttered. "We ride in 5. He turned to Evelyn. "You got anywhere safe?" Evelyn shook her head, clutching Sophia tighter. "They know everywhere I could run. My husband, he tried to turn them in. They killed him for it." John's eyes softened for a brief second. "Then you stick with us." Sophia looked up at him, her little voice barely audible through the rain. "You promise you won't leave us?" John crouched down, resting a hand on her shoulder. "I promise, kid. You got the iron hearts now." The engines revved one by one, lighting up the forest in a haze of fog and thunder. They tore down the muddy road in formation, red tail lights cutting through the night. But halfway down the trail, headlights flared behind them. Michael glanced in his mirror. "Boss, we got company." Gunfire shattered the air. Sparks flew as bullets pinged off metal. "Hold steady," John yelled, voice cutting through the chaos. "Keep them behind us." Robert pulled a hard left, blocking the trail with his bike. "Go. I'll slow him down." "Robert, don't you dare." "Go, Hawk," he roared. "Get the kid out." John hesitated, heart pounding. But he saw the trucks closing in too close. He twisted the throttle. "You better come back, you big idiot." Robert grinned, wiping rain from his face. "Wouldn't miss the party." He revved his engine, then charged straight at the lead truck. The crash echoed through the woods, metal screaming, sparks flying, flames bursting into the rain-soaked dark. John's eyes widened. "Robert!" But there was no answer. Michael's voice cracked over the radio. "He took them out, boss. He bought us time." John's throat tightened, but he couldn't slow down. He had Evelyn and Sophia to protect. They reached the edge of the forest. A lone barn sitting on an open field, dim lights flickering inside. Michael broke the lock, ushering them in. The rain hammered the roof as they caught their breath. Sophia was shaking, clutching her mother's hand. Evelyn whispered, "That man, he stayed behind for us." John nodded slowly, eyes glistening. "He was family. That's what we do." Michael sat down beside his bike, running a hand through his wet hair. "Boss, what now? Jackson's still out there." John looked at the barn doors, his reflection faint in the metal. "Then tomorrow we end it." Lightning flashed outside, lighting his face in cold silver. For the first time in years, the quiet outlaw looked like a soldier again, a man with something left to protect. The rain kept falling, tapping the tin roof like 1,000 ticking clocks. Outside, somewhere in the dark, the faint rumble of another engine rolled, distant, haunting, promising the storm wasn't done. The morning after, the final confrontation, a dawn soaked in pain, sacrifice, and redemption. Dawn came slow. The rain had stopped, leaving the world wrapped in mist. Birds hadn't even started to sing yet. John sat outside the barn, staring at the gray horizon. His hands were still dirty with oil and blood. A cigarette burned between his fingers, smoke curling in the chill air. Michael walked up quietly, holding a cup of black coffee. "You didn't sleep." John shook his head. "Didn't want to." There was a long silence. The only sound was the soft rumble of Sophia's breathing inside. She'd finally fallen asleep in her mother's arms. Michael glanced at the horizon. Robert would have liked this view. John's voice cracked slightly. "Yeah. He always said the world looks honest at sunrise." They both went quiet again. The grief hung heavy, but it wasn't hopeless. It was fuel. Suddenly, the faint sound of an engine echoed down the road. John stood instantly. "He's coming." A black truck appeared through the fog. Jackson's. Evelyn stepped out beside John, her face pale but fierce. "Let me talk to him. This ends today." John shook his head. "No. He came for blood. I'll give him mine before he touches you or your kid." The truck stopped 20 yards away. Jackson stepped out, arm bandaged, eyes full of rage. Still playing hero, Hawk? He sneered. You should have stayed out of it. John took a few steps forward, boots sinking into the wet dirt. You killed my brother. You killed Robert. That's too many. Jackson smirked. You think this is justice? You're just an old biker hiding behind broken promises. John's voice dropped, low, cold. Final. Maybe. But a promise is all I got left. Then silence. The kind that comes before everything explodes. Jackson drew first. But John was faster. The gunshot cracked like thunder. One, then two, echoing across the empty field. When the smoke cleared, Jackson was on his knees, eyes wide, clutching his side. He looked up at John with a twisted smile. You think this changes anything? John holstered his weapon slowly. It changes everything. Jackson fell forward into the mud, the storm inside him finally gone. The world went quiet again. Evelyn ran to John, tears streaming down her face. It's over. Thank God. It's over. John nodded, though his eyes were far away. Yeah, it's over. Michael came to his side, his voice soft. What now, boss? John looked back at Sophia, who was watching from the barn doorway, his bandana still tied around her wrist. He managed a faint smile. Now, he said, we ride for the ones who can't. The sun broke through the clouds, casting light over the muddy road. The engines roared to life again. Deep, proud, alive. Sophia waved as the bikes rolled out, her voice trembling but strong. Thank you, Mr. Hawk. John raised his hand without looking back. The road stretched ahead, endless and quiet. For a moment, it almost felt like peace. Sparkle, sometimes heroes don't wear capes. They ride old engines, carry scars, and keep promises. If you were in John's place that night, would you have stopped to help a stranger's child? Or would you have driven past, thinking it wasn't your fight?